Meet Emil Frederick Beck, or as I called him, Uncle Dickie. My uncle was born hydrocephalus, meaning he had water on the brain. These are also known as water babies. When my uncle was born in 1947, they did not have the medical treatment options they do today, such as a shunt. Hydrocephalus can cause brain damage or physical disabilities. In my uncle's case, he had both. His cognitive abilities in most areas were at or below a first-grade level. He was unable to walk and spent his life in a wheelchair. When I was 4 years old, my parents divorced and we went to live with my grandma, grandpa, and Uncle Dickie. At that time, my uncle was 26 years old. He was unable to care for himself. He needed help with feeding, using the restroom, and getting in and out of his wheelchair. My grandma was a strong woman and took care of him. I always loved my uncle, but as I got older, I began to realize just how special he really was. He was fascinated with cars and loved to go for rides. We used to take day trips and cross the Mississippi River and then turn around and come home. Before any trip, Uncle Dickie would pray for our safety while traveling by asking for journey mercies. He was always excited when the trip started, but he was not a happy camper when it came time to turn around and go home. I think his fascination with cars led to his fascination with keys. Anytime anyone came over, he would ask to hold their keys. When I was dating my husband, my uncle asked if he could hold his keys. My husband asked why, and Dickie replied, "Because I am the keeper of the keys." He could remember every car people had, including year, make, and model. His memory was fascinating. Growing up, we had a parakeet in our house named Petey. Every night, Uncle Dickie would go out to say goodnight to the bird. He would wheel himself to the kitchen and sit next to the bird cage and say, "Good night, Petey," over and over and over again. Uncle Dickie never wanted to be inside. He loved to sit outside and watch the cars go by. He would sit outside from morning till night. He was super friendly and would talk to anyone that was walking past the house while he was outside. One time, my grandma went outside and there was a stranger sitting on the curb listening to the baseball game on the radio with my uncle. To this day, we have no idea who that guy was, but he came often and listened to games on the radio with my uncle and brought pop and chips for them to share. When I was 8 years old, my grandpa died, so it was just my grandma, my mom, my brother, my uncle, and I. When I was 13 years old, my grandma took my brother to Canada to see one of her other daughters, and my mom worked full-time. This meant I was home alone to take care of my uncle. I had to use the Hoyt hydraulic lift to get him out of bed, feed him, help him with the restroom, and make sure he was safe. This was a lot of responsibility for a 13-year-old, but it really bonded us together. My uncle was included in all our family functions. Most times, family get-togethers were at my grandma's house so my uncle could be included. Uncle Dickie even attended my wedding reception. I got married and moved out when I was 21 years old. However, I remained actively involved in my uncle's life. When my grandma died, my uncle was 55 years old, and I became his legal guardian. Even though everyone in the family helped us with caring for him, it was obvious that we could not keep him at home. It was so draining on us to work all day, and then someone had to take care of him all night. 9 months after my grandma died, we made one of the hardest decisions of our lives. We had to put him in a nursing home. It was a hard adjustment for him and for us. We chose a place close to home so that we could make sure to see him often. In the end, someone went to see him almost every single day. His health deteriorated over the next few years, and he ended up in hospice in April of 2006. He held on for about 10 days in hospice and then went to be with his mom and dad in heaven on April 30th, 2006. While we were saddened by his death, we also celebrated the fact that when he was born, the doctor said he would not live past 12 years old, and Uncle Dickie was 59 years old when he died. I never had any children of my own, but I understand the enormous responsibility parents must feel. I could not have loved or cared for my own children more than I did my uncle. I have had so many people tell me how lucky he was to have me in his life, but I see it the other way around. I was so lucky to have him in mine. My experiences with my uncle are some of the biggest reasons I have returned to school to become a special education teacher. My uncle was a wonderful, unique individual without whom my life would be completely different. There are so many more children out there that are also wonderful and unique individuals and have so much to offer the world. Uncle Dickie was not only the keeper of the keys, he was the keeper of my heart.